Alright, guys, we are back again, and we are finally going to be reviewing one of the movies that I was actually very anticipating on watching, which was Werewolves of 2024, starring Frank Grillo. Now, again, seeing this movie premiere and wanting to watch it, you guys should already know I'm a big horror guy. I love werewolves, I love horror. Seeing this really gave me a lot of vibes from, I would say, Dog Soldiers meets. Alone in the Dark meets Resident Evil. I guess is the closest way to put it. And the entire story is you have where Frank Grillo plays as Wes Marshall, who is a former Spec Ops military soldier who got involved with the CDC because last year in this story there was a supermoon, and apparently if anyone goes out, your body can just transform, and you can transform into a werewolf. Anyone is possible of doing this, and he has taken upon himself to look after his sister-in-law and his niece due to his brother, I'm assuming, was one of the first responders during this tragedy. He lost his life, so he's been taking upon himself to protect his family. He has an amount of security for them, from an electrified fence to any kind of pepper spray that's on the side of the fence, from spigots to traps to board up windows to everything, right? So he has to go because there is a one of the characters that is Dr. Aranda, who's played by Lou Diamond Phillips. He is actually the head of the CDC. He comes up with an idea of something called Moonlight or whatever, that is a possible cure to either stop the transformation or derail it. But at the same time, you also have Katrina Law, who plays in here. If you guys do not recognize her, she played in Spartacus. She also played in Arrow as Nisa Al Ghul. She plays as Amy Chen, who's also a Spec Ops soldier slash also scientist. And she had her own issues with, I'm assuming her character was married to someone that did transform into a werewolf. So when they get everyone in to be able to see if they're able to stop the transformation, it does halt it for a minute, but unfortunately one of the ones have a reaction, and then they all start turning because they're trying to prolong to see how long this effect is going to last, but it doesn't last very long. And then the entire military compound just gets compromised, and then it's up to Wes and Amy to get out of there, and for Wes to get back to his sister-in-law and his niece. But at the same time, we also have where one of the neighbors who thought he was a badass, unfortunately he did get taken out by a werewolf, and he turned because and I'm gonna get into the good and the bad of this movie, so just bear with me, guys. But during the entirety of this film, you have where Wes is using everything to his ability to try to not only protect himself and protect his co-worker and friend, but at the same time they're going through all the streets of where this takes place at, which I'm assuming is Florida, because you do see a Florida tag in the beginning of the movie. So I'm assuming this takes place in Florida. So he has to navigate through underground tunnels. He has to navigate through convenience stores, because apparently if you do look up at the moon or it shines on you, because I'm assuming of its rays, and you're going to turn into a werewolf. And if you put a blanket over you, or I'm assuming like a tarp, then it does protect you from the rays, which is kind of silly in all honesty, but that's just the way they do it. Now, the way it goes is right when things get kind of crazy, you see the one that was the one that got turned into a werewolf. That was the neighbor. He somehow gathers all these other werewolves to attack his neighbor, and they're actually smart. These werewolves are not stupid, dude. They are actually very smart, because there's some that actually use their environment to their nature. By like one of them, he actually pushes a pole down or a tree on the fence to destroy the fence. After, of course, he got electrocuted, and also even grabbing a body and having the body electrocuted, so maybe it could destroy the fuse box or overload it so where it would not work, and then they're able to get in. Or some going up, the buildings, or blocking from bullet attacks. But it doesn't seem like some can be killed either by a silver bullet. It's just normal bullets, tearing the head off or whatever. But they are very smart, and there's a lot of them that are actually very mobile, and they actually look very different. You can see some with piercings. You can see some with what they're wearing. You can see some with the way not all of them look the same. They're very different, and they're very characteristic in the way that they did these characters for the werewolves, and especially the transformation. Very, very painful, very, very dramatic, dramatic, very enticing throughout the pain. Because again, I'd have to say one probably like the four best transformations or three best transformations I've ever seen in cinema for a werewolf transformation is between Van Helsing, Dog Soldiers, and the Wolfman. I think it came out in the early 2000s or 2010, something like that, to where you want to see the transformation. It's going to be very painful. It's going to be very disgusting. You're going to be seeing bones break. You're going to be seeing limbs go all kinds of ways, and they transform into a werewolf. Now, most of them have yellow eyes, but at the same time, they really don't do a whole lot. They seem kind of, I don't want to say puppeteered, but you kind of see that some of them move kind of quickly, some of them do not, and some you can see just kind of sit there. And it almost gave you like a purge feeling because, again, one night a year you have this issue, and they're trying to figure out exactly what causes this, what exactly is in our DNA that makes us into werewolves at night. Some are for it, some want to be vigilantes, some want to protect their families. But when Wes finally gets to his family, this is what's weird to me is him and Amy, they come across these vigilantes, they start attacking them, unfortunately, even though they say, hey, we're with the CDC, and they start attacking, and then the werewolves take them out, and then Wes goes on the gun, starts taking them all out, and he tells Amy to hurry up and get into the truck, and she just stops. She just stops, and it's like, sweetie, do you not realize that there is a werewolves all around you? She just gets taken, and he finally gets to his sister-in-law's house, and instead of using the minigun and it's raining now, he just runs them over. He runs into the old neighbor, and instead of using the minigun, so I'm like, okay, were you out of bullets, or was the moonlight affecting you, or were you not able to get on that? Like, again, but there was times that he and Amy were in this, but they were using that chemical that would be able to get on them. Now, again, I'm not sure if they sprayed themselves or they injected themselves with something to give them, I would say, maybe 30 minutes time to be able to be in the moonlight without it affecting them. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, but he makes the ultimate sacrifice after realizing that his sister-in-law and niece almost dies from these werewolf attacks because, again, I'm going to say this is kind of stupid. I'm not sure if this was just the writing or to keep you enticed, but again, from a survival standpoint, you're not going to waste bullets and just blowing it into the ceiling or blowing it into the windows when you don't have a clear target and just scaring them or whatever. It's like, come on. And then seeing random bullets fly, and it's like all of a sudden you got no bullets, and magically you got one left that's on the just in the debris. So it's kind of crazy of why would you do that? Like, have some smarts, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not sure if that was a writing issue or to keep you enticed, but again, that's just the way I think. But Wes goes out there, he willingly transforms into a werewolf, takes on the neighbor, and he defeats him, but somehow or other they are able to delay Wes from killing the sister-in-law as well as his niece because she tries to talk to him, and right when it seems like he's about ready to attack her, she blows open the window and the sunlight beams in, he's able to transform back, and that's how the movie ends. Now, again, would I say this is a good movie? I would say it's a decent movie. Do I see it getting a sequel? No, I do not. But again, if it did, cool. But if this came out like maybe in the mid 2000s, I could see it coming. But again, with a lot of these horror movies, and this was a very low budget film, I could see the reason why I'd probably not get a second movie. But I did enjoy it. But the problems is, again, with a lot of the whole, okay, why would you do this? Why would you do that? From a survival standpoint, from a writing standpoint, from a horror standpoint, it's like, you gotta think, it's kill or be killed out here. These werewolves don't care. They are here to hunt. They are here to kill. But what really astounded me was I thought there was going to be werewolves fighting each other for either territory or for food or for dominance, and we didn't really see a lot of that. We only saw a one-on-one werewolf fight, and that was Wes and this other character. That was it. And that was a little disappointing because I would think that there would be wolves or people that become werewolves would have an issue with one another or with something, but again, we didn't see that. But again, 9 times out of 10, wolves hunt in a pack. They get their alpha, they get their beta, and then they have the other betas, and they they hunt in a pack. It's very, very unusual to see some hunt alone. But again, does this do well for a horror movie? Yes, it does. Is it the best horror movie? No. Is it a one and done? In some ways, yes. Some ways, no. Would I go back and watch it? Yes. Would I own it on digital? Yes, I would. But again, I think it was a decent movie overall. I just think that there is a bunch of issues that comes with the writing, comes with the common sense of thinking inside of a horror film, which I've been saying for a long time. But overall, it still is a very decent movie. So I do recommend, if you guys have not checked it out, go ahead and check it out. What do you guys think if you have seen it? Let me know about it down in the comments. And I'll see you as always on the next one.